The Xbox Series X game event just happened this morning, and with it were a massive amount of games showcased and teased. From Halo Infinite to Everwild, the amount of world premiere trailers was staggering. With so many games announced, I wanted to narrow the list down to the top 8 that I'm most excited for. Please bear in mind, there's not a ton to go off of for the majority of these games outside of their reveal trailers, so I'll mainly be talking about things from the announcement, my hopes based off of previous titles, or just my general excitement. I'll be posting all the full-length trailers with sound in the description so you can go and watch those whenever you please. And a big thing to keep in mind with all of these games is that they are all coming to PC and will be part of the Xbox Game Pass. Now, I'm not sure if they'll be launched in tandem with their console counterparts, as a lot of the games have said console launch exclusive, but since almost all of them have corresponding Steam pages, I imagine the PC launch will be somewhat, if not synced up, with the console launch. But let's get started on my list for the top 8 games from the Xbox Series X game event. The first game, or number 8 on this list, is going to be Forza Motorsport. Now, Forza is a staple of the Xbox racing games, just like Gran Turismo is the same for Sony's PlayStation series. And with Forza Motorsport, you know you're going to be getting a very realistic driving experience, a driving sim, as it were. I personally kind of fall into the more arcade style. I really like the Need for Speed, just smash through walls and have cops chase you. But Forza Motorsport is going to give you that true-to-life driving sim that it always has throughout all of its games. Now, like I said, I'm not the most excited for it, but I feel like I cannot talk about a list of top Xbox games without talking about Forza because it pushes so many boundaries with graphical technology, with driving sims, and everything. So Forza Motorsport is on the horizon for Xbox X. Number 7 on our list is Crossfire X. Now, this one's pretty interesting. When the trailer started, I thought it was actually going to be a new Crysis game, but it seems to be something that is along the lines of your standard first-person shooter, kind of modern combat style, but with a twist, right? You have some special abilities, and you can do a lot of manipulating of the game world. So I'm really excited to see how this game plays out because it seems like one of those games that's going to be playing at like a constant 60 frames a second. It looks buttery smooth, and on top of it, the trailer has a covered version of DMX's X Gonna Give It To You, which, I mean, that just blindsided me out the gate. So I'm really excited to see how some of the game mechanics for Crossfire play out, as it seems to be one of the only things on this list that is an entirely brand new IP without anything or any derivative somewhat close to it. So I'm really excited to see what happens with Crossfire X as we get closer and closer to its eventual November launch. Number 6 is Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, the next co-op first-person shooter from Fat Shark Studios. This is the same studio that is responsible for creating Warhammer Vermintide 1 and 2. The big difference here is that we'll be moving to Warhammer 40,000's universe for the grand Endless Horde-style co-op shooter. If you've not played the previous titles, this plays very similar to Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, where you're in a team of 4, moving through a level with endless tides of enemies to kill. Darktide takes place in the underhive of the Hive City Tetrium. Within the depths of the labyrinthine megacity, there seems to be a cult dedicated to the chaos god Nurgle, father of pestilence. We don't have many details yet on the types of characters we will be playing, but rest assured, this will be one of the best co-op games on the platform, judging off of Fat Shark's previous track record and success with these co-op style shooters. Number 5 is Obsidian Entertainment's new Avowed. This is the third announcement from Obsidian Entertainment, with the other going to the DLC expansion Peril on Gorgon for their open-world sci-fi RPG Outer Worlds, and their second to Grounded. Unfortunately, this trailer was very scant in its information, and it will probably be a bit further out, as it was the only game from Obsidian to be discussed without an early access or release date. But it still looks very intriguing. If Outer Worlds was Obsidian taking their expertise with the Fallout RPG and making their own IP, then Avowed is Obsidian's attempt to take the Elder Scrolls franchise and craft something unique out of it. Indeed, the only real tease of gameplay that we see is the character wielding a sword with runes on it, while their other hand charges up a spell as what looks like the Balrog from Moria gets ready to burst through a stone archway. Again, we don't have much to go off of, but Obsidian has done a great job with RPGs in the past, and I'm hurting for another grand Skyrim-esque dungeon delving experience. The fourth entry on this list belongs to the mighty Destiny Beyond Light. Now, if you're anything like me, then you've played Destiny on a console, then on a PC, then back on a console, then back on a PC. I don't know, it's a dizzying, and sometimes I get sick thinking about it. But Destiny Beyond Light is the next step in the Destiny franchise, and it looks to be a massive one. As a Guardian, you wield the energy of the light of the Traveler to defeat the many foes of the galaxy. But in Beyond Light, you dip into the great darkness that has acted as an underlying sort of antagonist, pulling the strings of all the many races you encounter in the game. Adding a crap ton of new abilities and ultimates, wielding ice abilities to encase, create pillars, or shatter your enemies looks like a whole new set of dynamics that I'm eager to play with in Destiny Beyond Light. Now, as we get closer to the launch on November 10th, 2020, we'll hopefully learn more about the abilities the Guardians can use as they delve beyond the light and into the dark. Here we go, the top 3, the real heavy hitters bracket. Number 3 has to go to Halo Infinite. I don't know a single gamer in this generation that doesn't get tingles when they hear the operatic hymns of the title screen from any of the many Halo games in the past. I mean, we're talking about one of the most recognizable voices and icons in Microsoft's repertoire in Master Chief. But Infinite looks to be taking a step in a different direction, away from the standard narrative-based linear gameplay of previous titles and into an open world or at least sandbox style of game. Now, I have my suspicions on how that will shake out, as the gripping story from mission to mission has made Halo stand out over the years, but I'm optimistic, as I'm sure the overarching narrative will still ring true. But what makes me so excited for Halo Infinite is how it feels more like Halo 1, 2, and 3, and less like the latter installments of the series, which felt a little too Twitch shootery for me. That is just my take from watching the 8-minute gameplay reveal, but it had more of an old school vibe that I really enjoyed. Sans the whole grappling hook to grab plasma crates and throw at a grunt flying through the air carrying 2 plasma grenades, but hey, Halo Infinite still looks like a beautiful romp through my childhood nostalgia. Second place goes to a game I never thought would get a full-fledged sequel, never mind the other 2 releases. Stalker: Shadow of Chernobyl. Stalker 2's release trailer is rife with callbacks to the first game that has me so incredibly hyped up. Now, we don't have any real gameplay details to go off of because the trailer was simply glimpses of certain in-engine representations of things from the previous game. We got to see all the various types of anomalies that your character could interact with to gain certain abilities or other tricks throughout Stalker 1. This is actually set to be the 4th game in the series, and if you've never played Stalker, then you are in for a very interesting ride. Stalker 1 came out in 2007, and you play an adventurer of sorts in the special exclusion zone outside and around Chernobyl. It's a survival horror RPG shooter, which is about almost every adjective I could have crammed into one game without the word roguelite in there. Essentially, playing a gun for hire, you weave your way through a number of irradiated battles, strange X-File-esque anomalies, and as the trailer shows, even alien embryos growing in some nondescript green vat of goo. Either way, Stalker 1 was one of my favorite RPGs, from the atmosphere to the gameplay elements, so I am extremely excited for a game that expands or even remasters the existing excellence in the franchise. My top pick, or the game I'm most excited for though, is Fable 4. I know, you're probably groaning and saying that Halo deserves to be here, but I know what I'm getting with Halo. I know that I'm getting a lot of the same Halo goodness with an open world approach, I get it. But with Fable 4, I don't know what's going on. Peter Molyneux, the original creator of Fable 1, will not be a part of this project, which could be seen as good or bad depending on what camp you're in. Also, the game looks to not be in the Victorian era that Fable 2 and 3 borrowed heavily from. Nay, this looks like a direct successor to Fable 1's fantastical beauty and brilliance. I long for the days of being called Chicken Chaser as I grow my fledgling, Fable in the world created in the first game. If we get a game that takes the heavy fantasy approach of Fable 1, sprinkle in the soundtrack by Danny Elfman, as in the previous games, and then expand upon the mechanics, adding in even a fraction of the previously hyped up features of the first Fable, it could be one of the most amazing games of all time. Now, I need to curtail my excitement a little bit as I'm starting to sound like Molyneux himself, but of all the things on this list, I think Fable stands to surprise me the most, as it has had such a bad run in its last 3 releases, each one departing further and further from the greatness of the first game. And this is a chance for Playground Games, the developers behind the Forza Horizon studio, to give the game the same treatment they give Forza. Take an existing concept and make it even better. But with that, it brings our video here to a close. Now, I know you probably weren't expecting Fable 4 on the top of the pick. It's just my personal list for the top games I'm most excited for from the Xbox X or Series X game event. But let me know in the comment section below what games you're most excited for, or how you would organize this list if you were doing it. I'd love to see, maybe you wanted to focus more on Everwild, the game that's coming out by Rare, or you wanted to talk about Grounded a little bit more, the other Obsidian co-op first-person shooter style game that's coming out that looks terrifying to my brain. But I'd love to hear in the comment section what you guys think about some of the games that are coming. I know that a lot of these are a long ways away. It seems like Fable 4 is probably a couple years out, but some of these are just around the corner here, right? Like a lot of the stuff coming from Obsidian is coming in July and September for their early access and their releases. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below, all that kind of fun action. And if you do subscribe, please go ahead and hit that little bell icon so you can find out more about upcoming games that are being released on PC, such as the dreaded Baldur's Gate 3, which I'm very excited about, any of my game giveaways or streams that I host on the channel. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, and take care.